Hey there, welcome back to my channel, Mess with Michelle. I am so glad you're here today because this video is jam-packed with organizing and decluttering motivation. Right behind me in my Butler's Pantry, I'm gonna be going through all the cupboards. I'm gonna give it a good declutter, organization, but also as a little bonus, I'm gonna be converting one of my cupboards into a small mini bar. So if you wanna see the end result, definitely stick around. And if you are returning to my channel, I want to personally welcome you back. And if you're just discovering my channel for the first time, welcome. My name is Michelle. I'm the one behind all these messes. So if you like cleaning motivation, how-to videos, as well as DIYs, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button. So let's jump in and show you exactly what's behind these cupboards. So this is what lingers behind the cupboards in my Butler's Pantry, and you can see there is no organization system whatsoever in this space. These are the lower cabinets, and it's gotten to a point where there is so much stuff inside the cupboards and there's no organization system that things are just getting piled onto one another. So I can't wait to dive in and start getting everything out so I can start with a nice clean slate. But this is what happens when you kind of ignore a space over time. Things just start building up and there's a lot of random things stacked together and just placed in random cupboards. So there's so much potential for the Butler's Pantry. It has a lot of cabinetry. It has really great counter space. So not only did I want to organize as well as declutter, but I thought I'd just transform this cupboard where I have all my specialty glassware into a nice little mini bar behind the cupboard. So this transformation and decluttering organization did take a few days to complete, but I'm really happy that I had enough time to go through everything so this way I wasn't rushing the process. So when it comes to organizing, the first thing I have to do is just take everything out of the space and just go through exactly what I have in here and if there's any items that I want to donate or just items that I no longer need. So I'm just starting off with my lower cabinets and I'm going to work my way up to the very top cabinets where I have all my glassware. This is just phase one from the lower cabinets, and there's so much random stuff that I took out of the cabinets. There's just so many things mishmashed together. Like I mentioned, there is nothing organized about this cabinet at all. So you can see I just spread it out along the kitchen so I can go through to find out what exactly I want to keep and what I'm going to be either tossing or donating. Now that I have everything out of my cupboards, I'm just going to take a microfiber cloth and just wipe down the cupboards because there's a few grease stains from the cast iron presses that I have that I just threw into this cupboard and they were a bit greasy still, so I left a nice grease mark that I'm just using my cloth to wipe it away just to have a nice clean fresh slate to begin with. I'm unboxing my brand new pot and pan holder, and I bought this system a few months ago when I was organizing my kitchen cabinets, and I use it for my pots and pans, and I really love how everything is just laid out really nicely and it's horizontal so I can just grab the handles of my pans rather than having them stacked up, and it's really convenient. So I bought a second one for underneath the Butler's Pantry because there's quite a few things that I wanted to stack in here and have the same type of system, and this way all the platters that I have stacked underneath the cupboards are easily accessible and no longer have to be stacked onto one another, and really easy access when I want to grab and go and use those platters later on. And it just made a lot more space inside my cabinet. So I'll show you just a few minutes exactly how I set it up, but here's me just trying to make it work and just kind of put the metal holders into place so this way they're wide enough to hold the items that I want to store on this organization rack. These are the two cast iron presses that I had on the bottom of the cupboard that left the grease stain, and I had intended to put them inside the slots, but they're a little bit awkward and really hard to grab if I put them in between the two metal holders. So I just stacked them on top of the rack, and it's actually a lot more easier to grab and go. And this way they're not on the bottom of the cabinet to once again put any oil or grease stains on the bottom of the cabinet. And here's what everything looks like now that I have it organized. So now I'm moving on to the bottom of my cupboard, and you can see I made a lot of room for a lot of my boxed items at the bottom of this cupboard, which is great. So I have a lot more space to work with, and I was actually quite surprised of how much space I actually had once I started going through everything and just organizing it nicely and making sure there was a better organization system. So on the far left bottom cupboard, I had an empty space, so I'm just going to put my food saver in this space along with the bag, so this way I have a designated area for these items so I know exactly where everything is, rather than just kind of thrown all over into the cupboard and not really knowing where these items are when I need them to store any of my food. So now I'm just quickly moving on to one of the drawers of my kitchen because I want to convert this drawer into a drawer for all my barbecue accessories. Right now I have my barbecue utensils in this drawer, my plastic wraps and plastic bags. So I want to have one designated space where I can find all my barbecue utensils and accessories, because summer is just around the corner and I know I'm going to be using these items quite frequently, and some of the stuff is in this drawer and the other half is in the butler's pantry, so having it in one space definitely makes it a lot more convenient. I bought these bamboo dividers for your drawers from Amazon, and there's 4 in a pack, and they worked out perfectly because a lot of the barbecue utensils are really long and they don't fit into your typical utensil holder. So I wanted to have just a dividable space just to keep everything neat and tidy, and this worked out really great. These can expand up to 22 inches long, or they can be pressed with the spring at the very back to a bit smaller, so this way they start fitting the configurations of your drawer. So definitely highly suggest looking into this if you have longer than normal utensils or just want to make some divided space in your drawers, because they worked out really great, and I still have 2 left over that I can use for another drawer when I'm organizing another project. So here's what the drawer looks like afterwards, and it's really nicely organized, and now I have a designated space for all my barbecue utensils. So this is everything out of my cupboard so far, and I have all my stemware and my high-end plastic champagne flutes, but everything has been categorized so this way when I'm going back in to put everything into my cupboard, it'll be easier to grab. So I have beer glasses, salt and pepper shakers, and then over here I have mostly all my beer steins. So the reason why I decided to take the shelves off in the cupboards because I'm going to use this adhesive wallpaper. It's a peel and stick for the backdrop of my bar. So I bought this from Amazon and I was patiently waiting for it. This is what I was waiting for a couple of days, but it's a herringbone design. So I'm going to put that in the back of the shelf, so this way when I have my little bar area, I look a little bit different just having this backdrop of having wallpaper. So wish me luck. This is the first time I'm going to be doing this. So hopefully it's not too complicated. So I just unwrapped it, and here's the quality. It's just like almost like a vinyl, and there's just some grid lines in the back to help with cutting. So I'm really hoping that with the grid lines it's going to be a lot easier. It's a rectangular space, so there's not too much complication, but I'll find out shortly if this is going to be a hit or a miss. I really hope it's a hit because I'm looking forward to seeing how it turns out. So I'm ready to apply the wallpaper, and I'd like to say this is my first and only attempt, but it did take a second attempt to get it right. So the first thing I did was just leave a bit of an overhang in the cupboard, so this way when I was ready to use my utility knife to cut the excess paper off, I had a nice clean line at the top. So the key when applying this type of wallpaper is slow and steady. I jumped in the first time really quickly. I didn't really have a plan of action. So what I did, which was really working against me, was taking the back paper off way too early as I was smoothing it out. So every time I was smoothing one section of the paper, the other half of the paper was getting stuck to the wall, leaving bubbles and wrinkling. So that was really working, as I mentioned, against me. So if you are applying your wallpaper, you should start peeling off the back in small sections, smooth it out, and then peel off the back. So this way you're working in small chunks, and this way you have more time to really smooth out the paper and not get too many wrinkles. So this was definitely a fail the first time, but I was really lucky that I had enough paper to go in with the second attempt, and this way it worked out a lot better, and I knew that I had a better plan of action to work with, and just peeling the back off really made a big difference when I did it slowly rather than taking huge chunks off at the same time. So you can see I'm really struggling here, kind of pulling at the paper and then just trying to adjust it and then smoothing it out, but it's just a learning process. So now I know what to expect the next time I want to apply wallpaper. So this is when everything kind of started working out in my favor. So small sections, as I had mentioned, then I'm smoothing, and then I'm just repeating the process, and then I'm going to take a utility knife and I'm just going to cut off any excess paper, so this way I have a nice clean line. And this is what it looks like after I applied the wallpaper, and it looks fantastic, and I'm really happy how it turned out and really happy that it was able to turn out the way that I had envisioned. So now I'm going in and placing my bottles on the bottom shelf of the cupboard, and my idea is to have a mini bar, so I wanted to display the bottles at the bottom, and the tallest bottle that I have is a wine bottle here, so I'm just placing it on the shelf so this way I can make the appropriate adjustments to how tall I need the top shelf, so this way I have enough clearance to place the bottle and take it out when I am using this space. And here is the final configurations that I have come up with. I did end up losing one full shelf, but it worked out in the very end, which I'll show you a little bit later when I do the final reveal of how the mini bar turned out. So now I'm going in, I'm going to start displaying all my glassware and my bottles and start giving it more of that bar look. So I had a few platters that I've had stored in the cupboard for quite some time, and I really like how they look but had nowhere really to store them. So this was a perfect area to place it in the shelf and then display the bottles on top. So I wanted to give the space more of a bar feel, so I found these wine glass holders from Amazon, and you just slide them on top of your shelf and place your wine glasses in. And these ones are great because you don't have to drill them into your cabinets, and you can move them around and move them into different configurations inside your cupboards, which I think is great because there's a lot of different wine holders that you had to actually drill into the shelving, and it didn't really give you that versatility to move around your wine glasses later on if you wanted to change up your look. So these worked out really well, and they hold 3 wine glasses per wine rack. This is actually a mirror from IKEA that I bought for my room makeover last year, but I didn't have anywhere to place it, so I thought this would be a great space to display it and use it more like a tray, and it worked out really great. So I have this little sign saying "Sip Happens," and then I also have these really cute shot glasses with gold prints of animals that I've had in my cupboards for years, and I haven't had a chance to display them, so I'm going to display them finally on this little tray. So now moving up to the top part of the cupboard from my bar area, and we do have a lot of nice bar glasses, so I wanted to display them in my cupboards, and I just wanted to have more of a focal point in this space. So as you can see, I'm just placing them inside the cupboard, and later on I do go back off camera and make a few adjustments, but this is just to kind of test out the space and see how everything flows, and this way I was able to start making my tweaks later on, and this way I could just kind of envision of how I want it to look. So I'm just kind of fiddling around, moving things around here and there, and then I'll show you at the very end of this video the final reveal. So that is me just dropping all my plastic cups and trying to catch them at the same time. The package was open on the opposite end and everything just came tumbling out. So I'm just going in and putting everything back into my cupboards nice and organized. But later on when I looked at the cupboards, I wasn't really happy of how I displayed everything or the location. So you're going to see a little bit later when I show the final unveiling of my cabinets. I moved a few things around, but it is kind of with the territory when it comes to organizing. Sometimes you place things in cupboards, then go back a second time and realize maybe you should have had to put them somewhere different. So that's exactly what I did when it came to organizing these particular cupboards. I've had these battery operated lights for years that the previous owner had left behind, so I wanted to create some mood lighting, so I used them over top of my bottles. And then I found this really great rechargeable light from Amazon, and it's just a magnetic backing that you stick to the bottom of your shelf, and you can plug it in and recharge it. So you just take it off the magnet, charge it up when it needs to be charged, and place it right back on the magnet. And it also comes with this little tiny mini remote to change the lighting brightness as well as turn it on and off, and it also works on motion sensor. So after many days of organizing and decluttering and really redesigning this space, I just want to show you before and afters how everything turned out. And I'm really pleased how everything worked out because I didn't actually have to get rid of a lot of things. It just was a matter of placing them in a more organized way to create more space in my cupboards. This was long overdue, and I'm so happy that I've achieved the final look that I was going for. But also, not only did I make great space inside my cupboards, I also made a really beautiful bar space where I can have friends and family over and just have a space to entertain. So here are the before and afters, so enjoy. Here's the after what the mini bar looks like, and I am so thrilled how it turned out. My vision really came to life. I really didn't have the intention of creating the mini bar when I first started this project, but after going through the process and just seeing the potential what this Butler Pantry cupboard had, I'm really happy I made the decision, and my vision definitely, as I mentioned, came to life. I had the plan of placing the cabinet doors back on, but after seeing everything displayed so nicely, Bobby and I decided to just leave them off, so this way we have a really great focal point in this Butler Pantry. The great part of this project, I spent very minimal money to get it organized. I just had to buy a few organization systems to make this space work, but all the stuff that we've already had on hand and just displaying it in a different way makes a huge impact. I really hope you enjoyed today's Butler's Pantry transformation. I love my new little mini bar as well as all the extra space that I have in this Butler Pantry cupboards. So if you like this video, definitely hit that like button on your way out, and I'll catch you in my next video when I upload next Sunday.